All right, good morning. Happy Friday, people. Bob here, back once again. Ready to break down some Bitcoin. Let's get right down to it. Daily chart in front of us here. Yesterday, it was looking a little shaky. Had some decent pop to the upside at one point, but then just sold off and then it kind of came down pretty hard. But the important thing being that we've been talking about this trend line right here. Got to bounce again. Right now, this candle looks really good. Obviously it's feasible that this thing could just sell right off, but that's a pretty substantial candle right there for me to believe it will just sell right back off. So I like what I see there. That was a good candle response given the downside. And it's funny. I was talking to Matt about this. In spite of the fact that there was a pretty good amount of downside out of Bitcoin over the last that's 7 candles there. I mean, it didn't really feel that terrible. There was pretty good movement both directions. Bulls have been defending pretty hard, so it's been interesting. But this candle right here, it would have to sell off all the way down below this level today, so to fall all the way to 22.6 and change. Now there might be a scenario where that could happen. I'm not counting on it at this point, but yeah, this candle right now that's a good looking candle. So, in terms of what we would need to see, that's a great response. Let's get the weekly on there again. At this point, you can see, and let's go ahead and get rid of the drawings real quick, just so it's a little easier to see. It came down, never even fell below this level at this point, 22. And we hit that low yesterday. Never fell below that level, and now here we are again, pushing up over last week's closing high. So some positive there. Weekly MACD wants to curl to the positive side. That's on the histogram and on the signal line here. Stochastic RSI has been a buy, been that way for a bit now, and we're out of oversold territory here. Now the only thing with the weekly chart is the fact that when you see reversals, you want to see double bottoms and such. This one here, a double bottom with some possible bullish divergence, that might have been enough. And then you pop up here, you touch the oversold line, and then you go. But the question becomes: does it still need to tap back down to test anything else out? Tough to say, but at the moment this looks pretty good. We had our parabolic fall. Now we're looking for a potential parabolic rise back up the other side. And again, the targets are still going to be here, potentially here. Maybe not necessarily this week, per se, but it wouldn't be unreasonable for Bitcoin to put in a significant candle this weekend. So, we're going to be on the lookout for that for sure. But yeah, it's, again, it's pretty much everything we've been talking about playing out there. It did look as though we were losing the parabola yesterday. And again, that's where the bulls showed up, turned that thing right back around. Bitcoin lost a level that was pretty important. So, I know for myself, even I said, all right, well, you got to at least mentally prepare to be short there. And then it regained it and then blasted off several $100 over it. So it's safe to say that we probably got what I would say was a bearish fake out to the downside here, followed by a nice recovery. And again, over the next 2-3 days, it would not be a massive surprise to see us at least come back up to here, 25-ish. But I would think 26 is probably realistic. And then who knows? These kind of structures here, you get kind of, and we've talked about this before, you get multiple downside pushes, right? So here was our all-time high, 69K. One downside to swing. And obviously this is over massive time frames, but yeah, here's one downside swing number 2, downside swing number 3, breakout ensuing potentially after this. So yeah, I'm not anticipating it, but I suppose that there's some feasibility that in quote unquote short time period, we could be recovering all the way back up to this level, 45-ish, a few weeks out, month out, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I mean, there's some feasibility here for some positive movement for sure. But yeah, I mean, this was the most important part. Got the bounce there off that trend line. Now let's see what we can do to finish off this move. I mean, the daily still hasn't even broken into bullish controlled territory yet. It's just come up and tapped it a few times. So let's see if we can break into bullish controlled territory. This thing should fly. And, we got the support of the 21 zipping in here on the daily chart. So we're going to see liftoff before you know it. I mean, it's this area right here, this area here for sure, and then starting into this area at some point. But those levels will get taken out at some point. It's just a matter of when. So let's see if we can get this thing rebounding up there. Let's get zoomed in on some shorter term time frames, see what's going on out there at the moment. 4-hour chart. I don't know. This structure here, as far as the RSI, it's not really. To me, it's not really showing its hand very well. This little structure here. I mean, maybe it's some sort of. Had a downward structure here, so you had to break out from this. Let's get that in there. So you kind of had to break out from this little, falling channel, falling wedge, call it what you will, from right here. We had to break out over here. So breakout, basically a retest, just way further down retest, and then, push to the upside. Now, I don't know. I mean, this thing, just the way this thing comes in here, it's tough to say if there's really any discernible type of pattern there. I mean, maybe it comes down here. Oops, let's get rid of this one. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this one's a little bit of a tough one at the moment. I fairly fully expected. Oh, okay. Well, there it goes right now. I was gonna say pretty well expected this thing was going to come down here. At the very least, I anticipate that it's going to tap down here, this 23,050 level at this point. I mean, this level has rejected the price action so many times that it's tough to believe it's going to make it through at any point in time. But, at least as of right, geez, it's selling off hard. So, yeah, I mean, this thing right here, we'll see. I mean, okay. And just keep selling off there. So who knows? Maybe it is not going to break this level today or this weekend. Maybe it is about to come right back down and just dump through all these levels that it just built as support. But yeah, clearly this level right here has been a challenge for it. And if over the next 4 hours we see a candle that comes in looking like this guy, I guess at this point I won't be vastly surprised. Now that I'm literally sitting here staring at it, dying at the moment. So we'll see. I mean, that obviously that kind of changes the thought process here at least a little bit. Now all of a sudden this little rising channel that I put together actually has some level of validity to it. And I just kind of tossed some lines on there, figuring we'd see what works. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see where, if I drop that trend line on there, it does, it has multiple touches along it. And then if we add this guy here at the bottom, we've only got this one touch now. Does it come back down and tap it, or does it actually hold more of a structure like this? And then, potentially another round of upside out of there. Tough to say. We're going to see how it all shakes out. But like I said, this thing in the RSI didn't really have a very discernible pattern, and now all of a sudden it's showing its hand a little bit better there. So, but man, that level nasty rejections every time, it would seem. Let's get on the hourly time frame and just see if there's anything else that might help us out here. Now, this is our Heikin-Ashi, so it's a little different, but it still shows that, in fact, the trend is still in the upward direction for now. There's good volume that came in. Here, This one I've got in a little different structure as far as how I've got this little falling channel set up. But I think it works out pretty well. You got this midpoint right here. You had a breakout, well, this was a break above a support and resistance zone, but basically you got this, you got some volume right here that came in basically as a breakout there. We've got multiple candles that are high volume. Now, again, I always say it, there's somebody buying or somebody selling. So, feasible that a lot of that pressure is in fact sell pressure, and you can see that may very well be the case already. But and then this structure here, I mean, this thing's just coming up here, basically double topping, and that's what happened here. We ended up with a double top right here, and then you can see the result following shortly thereafter. So, again, I think that this level right here, 22.9 and change, 22.3-ish, would be, or excuse me, 22.9 and change, 23,000. That general level has some validity to it, so potentially we could see some recovery there. Ideally, it doesn't even fall back into this pattern, and if it's going to do anything, it'll just kind of slowly work its way down here and then pop. And that's what I don't know. That's still about 24 hours out that it would take to, if it is going to kind of flag down here. I don't think that'll be the case, though. Let's assume for 1 second that this is the line that will hold us up, and then that one there is much more closer to like midnight Eastern time. So, some feasibility there. Market's crazy. This market's crazy, though. I mean, just you turn around for a couple of hours, and all of a sudden you see this thing. This, like right here, had a nice pop, sold it all off, bought it all right back up a few hours later. So it's a wild ride out there, and just enjoy it while we got it. So, we're still looking for the same things. As long as we don't lose certain levels, then we're looking for upside pushes. Next level, almost 25K, 24.9 basically, 25.7, 28 almost 1,000. If we go over to our other charts, we've got other numbers we can look at as well. Here, this one's a reverse fib, so that doesn't do us a whole lot of good. This one here has no fib at all. Well, right here, that would be a level. This was basically the landing spot here previously. That's a level that we need to attack again, so that's a number that we could be looking at as well. And then over here, again, we've got multiple lines we could be working with. The 236 is the big one. That's the one that keeps rejecting us. When it gets through this level, be prepared that this thing could very well roast right on up here to this 33,724. When it gets flying through some of these fib levels, it does not take long. Typically, it would be once you clear like the 382, maybe even the 0.5, and then you can see a huge pop there. But we're making progress. We're making our way up the chart, other than this little hiccup over the last 10 minutes as I've been talking. So, short-term time frames, and there it is. Yeah, I mean, it already came back and put a love tap in on this line here, right at about 23,100. That's a lot of volume in this 15-minute span of time. Again, there's something about that level that bears are just in full effect right there. I mean, the more times that Bitcoin makes an attempt at clearing this level and doesn't do it, and I mean, here you can see that we held this level right here up until yesterday. If this ends up being an outright rejection here, then you have to consider the idea that we do have to put in another lower low, which would probably be this guy here. So if we get some extreme volatility here today, and I don't know for sure if that's going to be the case, but if we get some extreme volatility, maybe we actually come back all the way right back down to here to go ahead and get a low enough low that we can get the steam that we need to break this level. And that's kind of the general concept. If you hold a level, if you just keep bouncing back and forth between a level, at some point somebody's going to win, right? So in this case, the bears eventually made it where they were forcing the price action down, right? We had that descending kind of triangle look day before yesterday, where it was just failing to get back to this high, necessitated a lower low. Boom, we come back up. We've now hit this level twice today alone. And, well, this might happen overnight, but, I mean, it's part of this day, this 24-hour cycle day. Already been rejected twice, this time nasty hard. So, again, just difficult to say, but I would not be vastly surprised if, again, at the very least, we come back down, into these levels here, maybe retest this like 23,000. I mentioned that number already. So we got some thoughts here that could work out. Now it's just a matter of Bitcoin showing us what it wants to do. Let's go, Bitcoin. Let's go. Let's stop getting rejected by that level. But again, same thing. You assume that it stays within a trend until that trend actually changes. We do not have a change of that trend at the moment. So again, we do have to have some concern that we do get some nasty downside in here. But we shall see as the day proceeds. All right. We appreciate you. Looking forward to some action here. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll catch up Monday.